exercise been set up! Set up! Starting positions, move! Everybody knock out 34 counts to start with. That was too slow. Go, hurry up! Motivated, sir. Motivated, sir. Motivated, sir. Cover. Set up position. Move. Begin. You reply with yes, sir. Then you will run. You will find your name tape. It's located directly in front of your squad leader on the floor. You will stand at attention behind your name tape facing your squad leader. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Like man, you're going to run outside, get your gear, bring it back in and place it behind your name tape. Once this is completed, you stand at attention behind your name tape facing your squad leader. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Move! Move to the next station.
I want to say that today is a day the Lord has made. Be happy and rejoice in it.
hinge is narrower on this side. than it is on this side, consider that a mistake. And I look to work with the tree, what it's going to give me, as opposed to just notching into it. If I just keep notching too deep, a lot of times the shape of the tree automatically shortens up your tent.
Hawkeye has really been a faithful and diligent guide to me. He has shown character that is far above his years. And in work, I think Hawkeye is very diligent and thorough in all that he does.
Corporal Mitchell, Drill Instructor Mitchell. Yeah, I love Merritt, but I wouldn't want to be dropped by him. That's what I think of. And I think mostly it's because how the Lord said it, whom he loves he chastens. Merritt loves the guys, and he takes care of them and makes sure they get through.
Jennings, I remember that you were put in a leadership role a little bit against your wishes. You felt inadequate for the task. But I've watched you grow, and I've watched you face the challenges of leadership, and I want to thank you for making the right decisions for Christ and for the men in the unit.
I think I most really appreciate about Elisha the most is the role he filled as the first sergeant in the unit. His heart for the guys and his service for the guys, I think, was an example to the whole unit. And so he just really did a fantastic job there, and it's a great performed a great service to the Tech Rescue Program and to myself, and so I really appreciate the work that he has done there.
Jonathan, two questions come to mind when I think of you. How many balls can you juggle at one time, and can you be flexible enough to come up with a creative solution when the normal standard day's activity are not so normal and standard? Thanks for making this past unit a success, and thank you for being my log chief.
Nick has impressed me right from the start with his professional approach to aviation. He is always very well prepared. He has studied in detail. He knows his stuff, and he applies himself wholeheartedly to learning what is there. I've also seen him respond to God and let God work in his heart and point out weak areas. He's been a real asset to flight.
Todd has been one that has shown a real willingness and eagerness to learn while he's been in paramedics, but not just his medical things. He's also shown a real eagerness to learn from what the Lord has been trying to teach him over this past year.
When I think of Zach, I think of a young man that will do well as an aircraft mechanic. He has what it takes. One of the attributes of Zach is that he does exceptionally well with hands-on. But once he has learned something hands-on, he knows it.
Matt, we've had a tremendous blessing once you joined MRT, and I pray that as you go out and continue to serve others and pursue possibly missions, that God will direct you in the field of His choice, and that you will truly be a blessing to other nations.
Brandon Anderson was on logistics for 2 Basics, where he was our food man twice, and second time by popular demand because of the excellent job he did and the skill he showed in working with the kitchen. had to go home for a bit, originally from Unit 20. And Brandon came back to finish with Unit 21 and has done an outstanding job as a squad leader this basic, showing true leadership ability and a heart for men.
The thing I really appreciate about Paul is his constant joyfulness and the cheerfulness he always demonstrated, which always helped increase the spirits amongst the unit. And also his effort that he was always displayed, especially in the firefighting class here. He's definitely put his whole heart into what he does and has just done a fantastic job, and has really been neat to see him come a long ways in his time with the program.
Josiah, steadfast, on course, staying to the task. As squad leader in M-Team and Basic, much was learned about getting the candidate or recruit to a point of success so that as leader of M-Team, you could keep them on track. Thanks for taking the candidates through a difficult task to make sure that they would be ready for Basic. Thanks for being on the mark and on course.
James came into construction a little bit unsure of himself and a little bit unsure of his abilities, and he's leaving construction now, I think, a lot more confident in both those areas. I really appreciate James's consistency of character. I always knew what to expect with James. And I believe that as he learns to prefer others over himself as he goes on in life, that he'll be successful.
I've enjoyed having Kyle Pilston back in Phase 2, not only having been through it with Unit 21, but just recently with Unit 24 serving as leadership. He is very gentle. I guess if we're looking for character qualities, gentleness would be one of the qualities I see about him that goes well with a leadership position.
The only man who's ever come through MRT and upon exiting still loves to drive. As you pursue your future in farming, I pray that God will allow you to remember that the true elements of farming deal with the hearts of men and tilling them.
Well, I just met Dan, and I think what I really appreciated about him was, as iron sharpens iron, so a man's countenance sharpens another. He really had discernment for his guys in his squad, and I could really tell that. And I think I mostly appreciated about Daniel was his honesty with me about where his men stood, and his honesty with them about where they stood.
Dan has been the kind of guy that brings a real joy and enthusiasm wherever he goes. And that's been something that has encouraged me personally, as well as many others that he's come in contact with during his medical training.
Jesse Sullivan was the scribe for 2 Basics, agreed to stay a second time to help me out in the office, and was a great help, and I appreciate that help, and having that continuity was helped me in my job in trying to keep administrative things straight. Jesse was a squad leader in Unit 25, did an excellent job, loved his men, cared for them, and brought them to great success.
Chris, your abilities in MRT have been a great blessing to us. Your carpet cleaning in the motorhome and in several other locations here on the campus, and the lighting for the concert shows us your servant's heart. And we look forward to seeing great things that God is going to do in His directing for you in the years to come.
I sure appreciate Nathan's hard work and his leadership in the graphic arts department. He has a good eye for design, he's very skilled, he's very creative, he thinks outside the box. He has helped to raise the productivity of that department. As well, he's very talented in a variety of other ways, and he enjoys having a good time with other people.
Jonathan, I guess when you came to Unit 21, all you thought you'd get on the promotion day would be a certificate of completion, but little did you know that on the next day you'd be getting part of the basic training staff. But little did I know that I'd be getting a son who would be so faithful and diligent and task set before him. Thanks for all the work in the kitchen.
One thing I appreciated about Unit 21 was their desire to fellowship with families. I remember one particular night at our house when the activities got to stretch out to about 11 o'clock at night. I was tired and tactfully moved them towards the door, trying to encourage them to return to their barracks. At that time, one of the fellows sat down near the door, picked up one of our guitars, and proceeded to play for another 15 minutes. Not trying to be rude, I finally devised a plan, and I discreetly stepped outside, waited about 2 minutes, and then rang the doorbell. My wife came to the door, and I asked her very politely if she would send Unit 21 home. It was time for them to go to bed. So that's one of my memories of Unit 21.
Shave? Yes, sir. Brush your teeth? Yes, sir. Soap and shower? Yes, sir. Deodorant? Yes, sir. Into your gig line. Turn around, please. Turn around, please. 1 gig. 30 push-ups.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.